Hello, this is a continuation of my video series called A Stealth Muslim in Action. And it's about a Muslim who is desperately trying to say that Qur'an 424 doesn't remove African American complaint for the time U.S. had slavery, because he's trying to say it doesn't have anything to deal with sex or raping or slavery. It's dealing with marriage. And he doesn't realize though that I have some hadith that prove that I was right on all the time and that he was always lying about it. So I'm using taqiyya. I want to tell you, this guy is fantastic at taqiyya. He says he's Irish, and you want to know something? I believe he's telling the truth there. But guess what? You can be Irish and be Muslim too at the same time. So anyway, he did kind of slip up and say he knows a lot of Muslims, so I bet that is true. But anyway, I'll continue here. I say this. By the way, when I read his words, I'll be using this side of my face. And when I read my words, I'll be using this side. Okay. I bet you think that when Muhammad says, says the son, quote, asks permission to rise again, or that the Quran says sperm is formed between the ribs and backbone, not testicles, it's not proof that Muhammad was just saying things off the top of his head and the Quran to be a bunch of crap. True, the Quran is still holy. He called it holy. True. Is your position that any holy book I want to tell you something. Is your position that any holy book that refers to slavery as acceptable an evil book? It depends. It depends on how it's written. If the Bible tells Christians it's okay to not only have slavery, but for Christians in any time to take women as slaves, right-hand possess, even if they are married, and use them as sex, well, that would mean the Bible was a threat to world peace, and I think you could then call it evil. Please answer the question with a simple yes or no without all the extra nonsense. What question have I not answered? I'll make space so you can feel more likely to respond, okay? By the way, are you a pastor or a priest or some kind? I was a theology major at one of the University of California's and made it a hobby to study the world's fastest growing religion that I feel is bound to have all on prayer rugs with their patooties in the air 5 times a day every day for the rest of their lives. Do I feel Islam will be victorious? Yes, I do. Okay. You still do not make it relevant. A scripture that applies. He thinks I don't make a Qur'an 424 relevant. Okay, you still do not make it relevant. A scripture that applies to how to treat slaves is no different from Old Testament scriptures saying the same thing. Where does it say in the books, Old New Testament, see, the Quran calls the Bible the book, and in the book's Old Testament, that you can have sex with someone's wife if she is your slave? Both are irrelevant if there's no slavery involved. He thinks there's no relevance to this scripture if there's no slavery involved. What if, I can't tell you what if you want to point it out that a book many see as from a supreme being putting the allowance of slavery and sex with married slaves in his book, then it's relevant, is it not? Which is the case in most of the world, save for the illegal human trafficking being perpetuated by organized crime. You don't see how Quran 424 makes that illegal stuff but you keep bringing up about human trafficking okay if you can have sex with someone's wife if she's your slave, like Quran 424 implies? At this point, I'm no longer defending the right of a Muslim to worship freely. Are you African American? Is that why? What I'm doing what I am doing is trying to get you to explain the relevance of an obscure Quranic passage. How is it obscure? It seems to be getting a lot of attention from not only me, but, well, anyone who sees Islam as a threat to world peace, being that a real Muslim is to believe every word of Allah and apply it to modern life. Like, like it applied to modern life. Not like something in the Old Testament that seems to be for a dispensation that is past. If there is no slavery in Muslim countries, why does it matter whether a Muslim is permitted by Allah to marry his slaves? I try to say it's marriage again. Oh yeah, I've got that hadith coming that shows it's not. And when I say, yeah, I'll read that again for him. Yeah. If there is no slavery in Muslim countries, why does it matter whether a Muslim is permitted by Allah to marry his slave? Oh, to marry his slaves. It doesn't even say slaves. He actually said slave. Did you get that? Okay. I say, because Muslims are to believe the Quran is true. And if it is, then again, Quran 424, then Quran 424 is true. And thus, African American complaint for the time the U.S. had slavery goes poof. How can it not? Or are you going to say that the Quran is a lie? That it is wrong to have sex with someone's wife if she's what your right hand possess. In other words, your slave. Relevance! We're talking about relevance. Like the rampant violence being perpetuated in North America against homosexuals by self-professed born-again Christians. That is relevant today. So, in other words, if the day comes where Muslims become strong in number and start putting Quran 424 into practice after capturing women due to Muslims putting Quran 868 into practice. Quran 68 is where it says it is not fitting for a Muslim to take captives until he's done a great slaughter in the land. Due to Muslims putting Quran 867 into practice, turning them into slaves and having sex with them, like not only Quran 424 allows, but even passages in the Hadith. Hint, hint, what's coming. Then you will have a problem with Quran 424. Then you will think the Quran is not true. Are you sure you will think the Quran is not true then? By the way, you continue to refer to the African American complaint. The African American complaint. Right. Yeah, right. What exactly is this complaint? This is called diversion again. What exactly is this complaint? Please be concise and devoid of religious undertones. Stick to the question. What, in your words, is this complaint? I play along with it. I say, oh, it's a lot of things. A whole lot of things. Racism is number one, of course. But the complaint for the time the U.S. had slavery, one of their complaints, is removed if the Quran is true, because it has Quran 424 in it, which not allows for slavery, but allows for sex with married slave women. Do you see what I'm getting at now? Or are you torn because you have to defend the Quran, being that you may be a secret stealth Muslim doing jihad the pen, maybe getting paid a lot to defend it? Okay, you seem to be stuck. You seem stuck on this one passage in the Quran. Let's take a moment here to just deconstruct your belief system, to better understand where you stand. Okay, I'll ask you a series of questions, and I'll keep the questions limited to simple yes or no questions. Why? No diatribe, no scripture quotes, just yes or no. Well, maybe I'll try it, but I don't see how that will make things clear. Or is that what you want? Question 1. Do you believe that slavery is evil? If I say no, then I let Quran 424 off the hook. If I say yes, then I make the Quran look evil for allowing something like for Quran 424 into it. So, do you want me to say no? Which do you prefer? So is your answer no? Slavery is not evil? I am not trying to trick you into endorsing a Quranic scripture. I am asking for your views. Yeah, right. You sure you wouldn't jump for joy if I said no? Feeling greatly relieved that I let not only Quran 424 off the hook, but all Quranic scriptures and Hadithic sayings off the hook when it comes to slavery as well? Are you sure? And no, I'm not African American, though me baby brother has some talent at rapping, he thinks. I'm Irish Canadian. And I'm from France. Just kidding. I noticed you didn't say you weren't a Muslim here, but since you seem so desperate to defend Islam, you are a Muslim, true? If you believe slavery to be evil, then say so. Say, yes, I believe slavery to be evil. It's simple. I'm not trying to justify a passage in the Quran. Do you believe slavery to be evil? If you do, what's that say about Islam, especially Quran 424? Do you believe slavery to be evil? That you clearly misinterpret Quran 424. Can you put how Quran 424 is supposed to really sound in English if I, quote, clearly misinterpret? But even if you were right, I'm still not interested in endorsing it. Endorsing what? I am simply asking you, do you believe slavery is evil? Show some courage and take a position. That's how a debate happens. Take your position, then defend it. I am simply trying to understand your position. Right. Is it that slavery is evil, or that it isn't evil, but having sex with your slaves is evil? I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I believe that having sex with someone's wife, just because she's your slave, according to Quran 424, is pure evil, and makes null and void any complaint from anyone, not just African Americans, for the time the U.S. had slavery. That's what I believe. How's that? How is that? And then he goes, again, you mistake the defense. Oh? Again? If the Quran is a lie, why do you desperately defend it? Does that make sense? I gave up arguing with you about your misinterpretation of that one passage ages ago. Right, then what's he doing right now? And what does he continue to do? Because it wasn't a misinterpretation. Again, if I didn't do the same, okay, yeah. Because it wasn't a misinterpretation. Again, if the Quran is a lie, like you say, he did say it was a lie in another thing with me. Yet here he is desperately trying to defend it. Again, if the Quran is a lie, like you say, why do you so desperately try to defend it? What I defend is a right. What I defend is a person's right to worship freely and not to be discriminated against due to their religion. And you say I don't. Where did I say that I didn't do the same? Or is showing what Quran 424 is seen as interference and discrimination? And I think I'll end it here. Bye.